Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Thomas Torres, Jr. I'm the current Tribal Council Chairman for the Torres Martinez Desert Cahuilla. And just want to say good morning to everyone. In our language, we say Miawen, Omomemen. And even further, we say Miawen, Piesh, Mehava Iva, Tsunchi, Tamiadiva. So today is a good day that we look at a gathering of everyone that's here. We have federal entities, the state, the county, the city, our local tribal leaders are also here. We have our world famous Torres Martinez Desert Cahuilla bird singers are here. They're going to sing for you soon. As Torres Martinez, I just want to let you know that we've been a social gathering traditional tribe for thousands and thousands of years. So this is right in line with our traditions of social gathering. Every time we meet, it's a ceremony to us, and I see that we're partaking, we're eating, we're breaking bread. That's also part of our traditional ceremony. So it all fits in alignment of what we are doing here today. We're happy that we have the group that we have the support of this national monument, which is to preserve and protect sacred sites, cultural sites between here and the Colorado River. And there are many tribes that have, the same support system, the same cultural endeavors, the same trade route, the same, they call it mitigation, the same travels that we have. So that's why we're all in support of the same Chuckwalla National Monument and expansion of the Joshua Tree National Park. So I'm only supposed to speak for 2 minutes, but I'll probably go over. I just want to thank everyone that's here. We have the Honorable Congressman Raul Ruiz that's here. Salton Sea Program Director Frank Ruiz. The President of our esteemed sister tribe from Fort Yuma, Cochin, the President, Jordan Joaquin. Representing Colorado Indian Tribes, Council of Elders, Dave Harper. From the state of California, Secretary Wade Crowfoot, California Natural Resource Agency. A local leader, the mayor of Indio, Mayor Oscar Ortiz. And Indio Council member Gary Gardner of Desert Hot Springs. Youth Ambassador Ryan Reyes. And that's just the beginning. I probably missed anyone. If you haven't been mentioned, you can say your name when you get up here. But again, I just want to thank everyone for coming here. And I know this is a great event for, adopting this national monument that's here. So if anyone's curious, when you look up, on the internet, I have pages and pages of national monuments that are Native American, associated. So we have hundreds of national monuments, and there's probably less than 100, though, maybe over 100 of Native American heritage sites. So we're going to join on this list of Native American heritage sites in the cultural preservation and protection of the sites that I mentioned. But with that, this new bill, this new bill includes co-stewardship, co-management with this site. And I also want to mention, just last month, President Biden was in Arizona and declared another national monument in the Grand Canyon. And in that speech, he said that, these sites, when he saw the Grand Canyon site, he said, this is a site to behold. And when he saw this site, he said, when I seen this site, I knew that the creator made this for everyone. So, and I think that's everywhere. If you were to come over here and see the Painted Canyon, our creation story that goes with it, he would say the same thing. So I ask, that and support that everyone here backs Congressman Ruiz when he goes to Washington, D.C., either today or tomorrow, and proposes this national monument, that the president sign this and declare it a national monument for everyone that's in the room, not just for the tribes, but the entire community, because it'll benefit everyone for generations to come. So with that, I would like to introduce Solvency Program Director, Mr. Frank Ruiz.
Thank you, Chairman Torres. My name is Frank Ruiz. I am the California Desert and Solvency Program Director for Audubon, California. And I would like to acknowledge some of the, at least the ones that I know, from the tribal members that came from far away, and the elected officials. From the Cree tribes, we have Tommy Drainman, Amelia Flores, chair, she's the chairwoman. We have Dwight Lomayespa. I hope I'm pronouncing the names right. From the Mojave elders, we have Richard Armstrong, Estacia Bailey. We have Shirley. We have Alan Welsh. We have Mitchell Sharp, Mariqua Sharp, David Harper. And of course, we have the bird singers that we're going to hear later on. From Fort Mojave, we have Linda Otera. From the Yuma Quechan, we have President Joaquin. We have Lina Ortega. We have Donald Medard. We have Zion White. Jonathan Cotton. And from the Torres Martinez tribe, we have Altrina Santillanes, Gary Resbaloso, and Mary Velardo. I also want to acknowledge some of the elected officials that were not mentioned before. From Cat City, we have Nancy Ross. From La Quinta City Council, we have Deborah McGray. We have Luis Plancarte, the Vice Chair from the Imperial County Board of Supervisors. And last but not least, we have Alex Cardenas, the Imperial Irrigation District Board Chairman. We're standing here today because of the vision of one man, Mr. Matthew Leyva, an elder from the Chimihuevi Nation, who is not here today, but I would like to give him a round of applause. The inception of the Chuckwalla National Monument goes back to a conversation between Mr. Leyva and some of my colleagues here today. The proposed Chuckwalla National Monument and the expansion of the Joshua Tree National Park will protect almost 700,000 acres of public lands, extending from North Indio to the west to nearly the border with Arizona to the east. This designation of public lands is critical in terms of habitat protection. With the continuing drought, the designation will secure protection for millions of migratory birds, desert tortoises, bighorn sheep, and many other at-risk species that share the land with us. And of course, the eponymous Chuckwalla lizard. It will also provide community access. Intentional community access and outdoor recreation for the Eastern Coachella Valley communities. Communities that live at the proximities of the proposed boundaries. They will enjoy activities such as hiking, camping, stargazing, and why not, even off-highway vehicle adventures in designated areas. All of these will be part of the proposed designation. Another big element will be the cultural protection. The monument expansion and the Joshua Tree and the Chuckwalla National Monument will provide protection for sacred and cultural significant areas for the Native American nations that live nearby. Places like the Painted Canyon. Some of you probably have been at the Painted Canyon and the Latter Canyons. Those areas are closely related to the Cahuilla people's creation story. Of course, it will also benefit the local economies. Creating the monument will benefit the local economies as the monument designation and the Joshua Tree expansion will likely increase the number of visitors to the region. Last but not least, we're all experiencing climate change. And the designation of the monument will contribute to the state's initiative 30 by 30s that aim to protect 30% of the land and 30% of the waters to fencing off the impact of climate change. The introduction of the bill will be followed by a call to President Biden to employ the Antiquities Act and designate the Chuckwalla National Monument and expand the Joshua Tree National Park for all. Still, none of this could be possible without the genuine commitment of our champion, Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz, whom I call a personal friend, whom I have now the honor to introduce.
Good morning. I'm Congressman Dr. Raul Ruiz, and I'm very excited to be here with so many different individuals who represent different nonprofits, tribes, local city councils, as well as the county and water districts, and everybody who came together in one voice to protect our land and the animals within it and our sacred sites. I'm very excited to be here. And for those of you who celebrate Yom Kippur, have a very happy holiday. I appreciate you and a fulfilling fast. So I want to start off by thanking the 29 Palms Band of Mission Indians for allowing us to be on their land, and all the staff of 29 Palms Casino. Ustedes que están sirviendo la comida no son olvidados. Yo estoy aquí para servirles. Yo los veo, los respeto, los quiero, los amo, y seguimos adelante juntos. So thank you to all the folks that are working here. Let's give them a good round of applause. Muchas gracias. I see you in the back. Thank you. Thank you very much. And a warm thank you to Chairman Darryl Mike, who is part of this as well. Of course, the chair of the 29 Palm Band of Mission Indians. I want to thank all the speakers who are here, everybody who's giving their heart and soul for this effort. You know, let me tell you why this is so exciting to me, okay? Why this is so special to me, Chairwoman Flores. Why I got excited about this when they first started talking to me about the Chuckwalla National Monument. Because it comes from the people. This isn't coming from me telling you what I'm doing or government telling you what to do. This comes from the young men and women who live near our communities and don't access our national parks. This comes from the individuals in the communities like the promotoras who are tirelessly working to help improve our community's health, and now this will give access to parks where they can bring the community to and improve their health. This comes to me from the individuals who for too long have been forgotten and marginalized and dismissed, that said, we would like to protect this land in order to enjoy and improve our air quality in the midst of having one of the worst air qualities in the state of California in this region. And this is also exciting to me because of the tribal leadership that's involved in here. There's nothing more that inspires me than our indigenous original peoples who say this has always been Indian land, this is Indian land, and this will always be Indian land, and we will always be the stewards of this Indian land. And so this is from the youth from the organizations, from the communities that came together and that are empowered to do great things for the people that need it the greatest. And that's what inspires me the most about this. The bill has two components: the Chuckwalla National Monument Establishment and Joshua Tree National Park Expansion Act. Here, we're launching the Chuckwalla National Monument expansion portion of this, but this also adds 22,000 acres to Joshua Tree National Park. And many of you know how beautiful and iconic and how special Joshua Tree National Park is to our communities, to our country, to the rock star Bono, you too, and to all the other folks that come out here. But I don't know if you know that Joshua Tree has a very special place in my heart for two reasons. One is where I proposed to my wife. And that was one of my happiest days of my life and hers. And two, it's because that's where I go and I take my daughters camping since they were 3 years old. And we just love it. We love it. It's important for us spiritually, and it's important for us to develop those core memories that they will always look back at and remember Joshua Tree fondly, like I know many of you do. Now, the Chuckwalla National Park establishment portion of this is historic for many different reasons. The first is nearly 700,000 acres of land that we will protect. Protect the animals, some of which are endangered. Protect the plants, some of which are endangered. And more importantly, for many of the folks here, protect the sacred sites. That's also very important for a people who are preserving their culture so they don't go extinct, so they can teach their children about the traditions and the cultural relevance and the spirituality and relationship that we have with our earth and our responsibilities to take care of it. That's very important to do that. Second, it allows recreational activities and access to the most marginalized throughout the entire Southern California and the nation to come in and enjoy the beauty of our land. And in doing so, improve health. You know, now I'll nerd out a little because I'm a doctor. I read this medical literature, and there are science studies out there that show that if you combine going to the outdoors and visiting national parks with counseling, veterans with PTSD have much greater results in their improvement in their lives. And so anybody who deals with anxiety and stress, going outside can fundamentally reprogram your brain to have wellness and more joy in your lives. Now, I'm a doctor, so I'm going to prescribe to you to come out and go to the national park. And another reason why this is healthy, and many of us know this here because we see the haze of dust, is that it's going to clean up our air. And it's going to help improve our air quality. And that's very important for all of us, especially the children who experience the highest rate of asthma hospitalization in the entire state of California that live right here and in the Imperial Valley. That is of the utmost importance. And the exciting thing about this as well is that it's co-managed with the tribe. So it's not an imposition. It is not a government coming in with the keys to the locks and whether tribes can go into their own land or not. No, this is co-managed with the tribes for tribal empowerment, tribal self-determination, and it empowers the fact that tribes are sovereign nation and we must treat tribes as nation to nation. And this is a clear example of respect and clear example of the meaningful consultation that I have been fighting for since I've been in Congress for tribes. And the beautiful thing is that it does not violate any previous agreements that we have made with the recreationalists, conservationists, with the miners, et cetera, because it does not violate the Desert Renewable Energy Conservation Plan that were decades in the making, where they designate different areas for different uses, and this abides by all of that. And so that is why we're all here. That is why we're so excited about this. That is why this is going to happen. And those youth that started with the hikes, with all your different organizations, that started talking about the ideas amongst each other as a community, you did this. All of you did this. This is your bill. This is your empowerment. This is your movement. This is the movement of a community coming together to protect our lands for the betterment of all creation. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because now we have a lot of work to continue to do, not only with this legislation to get a hearing in the House, but now is when we do the calls to the administration to make some noise, to make sure that we do this with the people in mind, with the community in mind, with the grassroots movement in mind from the ground up, and really in one voice say Chuckwalla National Monument establishment now. So with that, thank you very much. And I want to now introduce President Jordan Joaquin from the Fort Yuma Huachan tribe.
Good morning. It is an honor and a privilege to be here to stand before you as one of many tribal leaders who want to tell you stories about. I see this picture. To some, it's just land, it's a mountain, it's dirt. But when you go to our cultural sites and you see the drawings, those are our DNA. Those are our stories. The songs of our creation talks about the animals, the plants. Why is this important to not only Indian country, tribes, but the community as a whole? It's important to us because it doesn't talk about our past, but it talks about our future. I'm honored to stand before my fellow tribes, sister, brother tribes that are here today, but also the local communities here. Because I think we forgot about one thing in recent years. It's trust among all of us. Native Americans, communities, we have one vision, one goal, and that is to work with each other. I wish there was more Congressman Reese's because he gets it. We are sovereign people. We are a government of our own people. When we travel to DC, we have to remind some congressmen. We get asked questions. Are you guys really Indians? Do you guys live in teepees? 2023. But tribal leaders, tribes, we don't live in the past, we live for the future. We will educate. Our mission, there are many missions on many organizations that we are the stewards of the land. Tribes have been the stewards of the land since day one, and we will continue to be. I'm honored to be here. I'm humbled to be here. I think about many of our elders who have passed, who've been waiting for monuments to be named. Back home, Indian Pass, which is very sacred to the tribe that I am from. 20 years ago, we won a victory. And they want to come back and mine again. We want to make that a monument in our backyard, because the past, we will support monuments because it's for all of us, not only tribes, tribal leaders, but the community at large. This is a grassroots effort. Congressman Reese, thank you. It's been an honor to speak with you. You never let us down. You're always there to help us. And my final words to each and every one of you, when this monument is named, and I truly believe it will be, let's make this celebration larger and bigger. Thank you. Now I'm honored to introduce the next speaker, and thank you for being an easy name, David Harper from the Colorado Indian Tribes. Thank you.
My name's Dave Harper. I'm a member of the Colorado River Indian Tribes located in Parker, Arizona. Just real quick, I'd like to recognize Tribal Council, Madam Chairperson Amelia Flores, who's here today. I'd also like to acknowledge the Mojave Elders Committee, Chairman Alan Welch, who's here. And our traditional bird singers, Mojave bird singers who are here. If they could stand, please. As they say, I guess all our 4 food groups are represented today. And also I'd like to recognize Fort Mojave Indian Tribe, my cousin, Miss Otero from the cultural program. As they say along the river, we're all related. And I am very honored to be here to speak on this area. You know, in about the past 10 years, we were involved in federal court on these areas. All the elders I worked with, 30 elderly women, they are all gone now, but we were in federal court 3 times on this area. And just the DRCP, the Desert Renewable Energy, we didn't agree with that as the elders because no area was greater than the other. In our creation story, in our traditional spiritual landmarks, we're all connected. From Vikwame, which is up in above Bullhead City, to all the landmarks that come down to the river. They're all in the Mojave culture, they're all identified as equal spiritual cultural values. And that we could not erase what was greater than or what was less than. In this area, there are cremation sites along the Fort Dry Lake. And also in this area is called the Halchuma Trail, prehistoric trail that was used as a highway amongst the native people, and that was actually our way to get to the ocean. A lot of people don't know, but Mojaves have ocean songs, and that our currency was the seashell. That's how we traded, and that's how we worked with all the other tribes. This area is significant to us, to me, because on my mother's side, we're from the southern Mojaves. There's the northern, middle, and southern, and that's my people. And my mom in federal court sang the songs to Chuckwalla. And she sang the songs, her and my aunt Priscilla Iswanya, who they both passed, they sang these songs in federal court to identify our landmarks. And so I'm thinking, as you talk about this landmark, and you do this, what we would like as Native people, as traditional grassroots people, we want an ethnographic study to that. Because all these areas are being taken out, our artifacts are being removed. In 100 years, our children's children are going to have to come out here and prove that that's been our traditional footprint. How are we going to do that if our area has been taken? Our artifacts have been removed. And so what we want is an ethnographic study because we want that footprint identified and solid in the federal government that this is Mojave land, we say. I'm saying that because I'm Mojave. Other tribes can make their claim of their spiritual, cultural content, and that's great because we do have common areas. But as a Mojave man, speaking about my Mojave religion and my Mojave people, we say for the Mojave side, this is our land, and we want that stamped by the federal government to prove that that is native land for all to know forever. And I think that's what we want. And if you come to the tribe and you ask us, we want that recording. We want to own it. We want to be singing to those songs. We want to make sure that we archive it for our children's children's children, so we maintain our sustainability of who we are as Mojave people, and that we support other tribes in the canyon. We support their existence, because we're all interrelated through the song, through the dance, through tradition and custom. We're all together as Indian people. And you know, the thing we always say on Mojave people is that it's not a folklore. It's not a story. We are religious based, just as you would have the Baptist church, the Mormon church, the Catholic church. Mojave has its own religion, and we're religion based. Until the government, until people recognize that we have our own religion and our own customs and traditions, then we could start about consultation and engagement, because you have to acknowledge and respect who we are and that we are from the land. And lastly, I'll say this. There's a question that comes up: who speaks for the animals, the plants, the water, for the sky, for the mountain? Who speaks for them? And Mojave people always say, and we stand up and say, we do, because we're part of. We're the same. We have the same value. We are of the same worth, and we are of the same existence. That's who we are. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Secretary Crowfoot, Wade Crowfoot.
Well, I am excited to be here. This is an important moment. People have come from near and far to be together today on this important proposal. I come from Sacramento via Phoenix this morning, and for me, this wasn't an optional trip. This was a need to be here, to support the tribal leaders and the tribal communities that are the guiding light of this proposal, to support the youth, the community-based organizations, the local governments that have worked together to drive this forward, and to support Congressman Dr. Ruiz amidst all that he's fighting for in Washington, D.C., stepping up and submitting this proposal as a proposed act of Congress. Let's give him a hand. So I work for Governor Newsom in Sacramento on his cabinet, and fundamentally my job is about stewarding, working to steward the state, our environment, and our economy on the governor's behalf. And I can tell you why we are excited, and I am excited to be here on behalf of Governor Newsom, because this proposal hits with a bullseye 4 of our core priorities. First and foremost, with tribes, to redress historic wrongs, to build tribal sovereignty, to protect cultural sites and objects, and to support tribal leadership protecting our environment, whether that's balancing the Colorado River, stabilizing the Salton Sea, or protecting sacred lands. Fundamentally, more than anything else in the work that I do on behalf of Governor Newsom, we are proud of the progress that we are making supporting tribes and tribal leaderships with a lot of work to do. And I think supporting, embracing this proposal is a critical part of that. Number 2, Governor Newsom talks a lot publicly, but also internally with us leading these agencies about building a California for all. And that means giving the opportunity for all Californians to live their best life. And for me, that means building an outdoors for all. We live in one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth, with some of the most iconic places to visit and recreate. But we know that not all Californians can access that nature, can bring their families outside, camping, hiking, enjoying the outdoors. And we know that some communities have far less opportunities and open space than others. So we're here and we're supporting the grassroots movement, the youth, the community-based organizations, working with tribes that said, we want to protect our outdoor access. We want to expand our outdoor access, and the Chuckwalla proposal will help us do that. Priority number 3, we need to help protect nature to protect us. You may know that California is one of the places on the planet with the richest diversity of plants and animals and life. Scientists know it as one of 36 biodiversity hotspots on planet Earth. But those ecosystems, those communities of biodiversity are under tremendous pressure and stress, first and foremost by climate change. And we have to do more to protect, to durably protect these communities of life, these ecosystems, because they are our life systems. And protecting in a durable way 700,000 acres of this pristine, highly sensitive desert landscape does that, and will do it forever. And that's a huge thing. Fourth priority, we know that we need to continue to develop our economy in California. And part of that is building more housing, part of that is building more renewable energy and connecting that so we can meet the state's strong 100% renewable energy goals. And we need decisions that advance that energy vision in ways that protect the environment. And as Congressman Ruiz explained, this does that. This 700,000 acres is identified as particularly environmentally sensitive area. And through a big, long planning process that you've heard referred to called the Desert Renewable Energy Conservation Plan, these lands proposed for protection are part of those lands that were slated for conservation, for environmental protection, based on their sensitivity. And by conserving and protecting these lands, we will enable that economic development, that energy infrastructure to go to places that are most appropriate. So for us, this is a huge proposal. This is a critical part of our overall effort. I'll say lastly, we have a vision to conserve 30% of California by 2030 to meet all of these goals. And this is the largest, one of the most significant proposals that we have in that 7-year plan. So I am thankful if you have been part of this movement, bringing it to people like us, thank you. If you are not yet part of this movement, please join. Congressman Ruiz was right on the money. The best ideas are not found in Sacramento or Washington, D.C. They come from communities and they come from people. And that's what's so important about this effort. Now, I want to thank Congressman Ruiz, and I want to ask for something from everybody in this room. I want to thank him again for stepping up amidst all of the challenges and dysfunction in Washington, D.C., and him fighting for communities and health care. He's stepping up and submitting this as a proposed act of Congress. But establishing a national monument in the U.S. can happen two ways, through an act of Congress or through the pen of the president. And so we'll be supporting Congressman Ruiz and communities here today in the weeks ahead and the months ahead to pursue both routes. And if indeed there's not a pathway through Congress, we will be calling on President Biden to make history on behalf of tribal leaders and communities in this region and protect this land forever. So thank you, and onward. And recognizing and helping represent that local leadership is a colleague, and I can say a friend of mine, the dynamic and highly effective mayor of Indio, Oscar Ortiz.
First, I just wanted to thank all of our organizers here, our tribes, and all of our representatives who brought us all together here for this effort. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for all of your hard work. Really appreciate it. Today, I wanted to share a quick story. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago at the Whitewater Preserve, and I met a man named Art Bastulo, and he's a park ranger for 45 years. He actually works out in Barstow, and he was sharing with us some of his stories, and one of the things that stuck with me was that he was saying the most concerning thing to him was that over his 45 years, he's seen a drastic disappearance of wildlife in Southern California. So he mentioned that before, he used to see so many lizards, so many snakes. He would go around, there was desert tortoises that used to hide under cars to get shade, right? He would hear so many birds when he was out in the forest, and he would see, he would have to be careful when he was driving because there were so many animals crossing his trails, right? But he said that, Mr. Bastulo said that that's no longer the case. He's witnessed with his own eyes the gradual disappearance of species and the changing landscape through the impacts of human development and climate change. Unfortunately, we've destroyed habitats, we've broken up migration patterns, we've warmed the Earth's surface, we've strained natural water supplies, and we've introduced invasive species that are constantly creating more challenges for our native ecology. The Chuckwalla National Monument can help us to revive that balance through preservation, through education, and through an improved connection between our people and the environment that they live in. In California, desert lands account for 10% of the state's carbon sequestration through the soil, plants, and fungi found on our lands. There's actually calcium carbonate crystals that actively store carbon all throughout our desert, deep into our soils. If these lands are disturbed, that carbon will be released into our atmosphere, and the process of carbon storage that we see, which Mother Nature is so good at, will no longer function. These lands would no longer help us clear out the increasing fossil fuel emissions that are present in our environment. The Chuckwalla National Monument would also enhance our local environmental education opportunities and help us teach the future generations to appreciate our lands and to keep learning and understanding these extremely complex systems that need to be cared for and rejuvenated. The more we understand these systems, the better we can help protect them, and the more we'll be prepared for the challenges that are coming our way. Thank you. So, how do we teach our youth to keep our deserts clean? We teach them about the desert tortoise and how ravens often target the baby tortoises in our region. In order to get rid of ravens, we need to reduce the human trash that the ravens feed on. How do we teach them about water conservation? We teach them the traits of our native plants and how little water they need, and we teach them what animals use those plants for food and for habitat. How do we teach them how to take care of our land? We take them hiking and show them how to leave the land better than they found it. We teach them how to experience the beauty of nature without disturbing our ecosystem. How do we help teach cultural history? We show them the fish traps that exist on our mountains where the native Cahuilla caught and stored fish when this land was covered by ancient Lake Cahuilla thousands of years ago. We show them the ancient petroglyphs and ancient trails found on our mountainsides and teach them to preserve and protect these sacred sites. The Chuckwalla National Monument can be the outdoor classroom that brings us the future environmentalists and future historians that we need to save our ecosystem and protect our cultural history. We are committed to creating those opportunities right here in Riverside County and Imperial County. Today, we are here to support the Congressman Ruiz's request to our federal government to permanently preserve this land for the good of our community and the benefit of our environment. And we hope to get that support from President Biden and his administration. As a community, many of us here have lifelong commitments to bringing back the natural world that lives in the memory of Park Ranger Art Bastulo. We will continue to push for huge transformative change in the way we impact our environment, and we hope that our federal government will continue to support us in these efforts. Thank you, and I'll welcome up to stage Councilmember Gary Gardner from Desert Hot Springs.
What a beautiful afternoon here in our desert. You know, I was up at 5 o'clock this morning walking my dog, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing like sunrise in our desert. And I took the back road here. I took Dillon Road and round, and from Desert Hot Springs clear on the other end of the valley. Would have rode my motorcycle, would have messed up my hair. So we didn't do that. But I really want to thank Congressman Ruiz and the Protect California Deserts Coalition for this opportunity. I very much appreciate the Congressman's leadership on this. As he'll tell you, I've been nagging him about it for quite some time. So ever since Katie Barrows talked to me about it many months ago. And I'm very proud to say that Desert Hot Springs was the first city in the Coachella Valley to pass a resolution supporting the Chuckwalla National Monument earlier this year. But you know, in addition to being honored to serve on the Desert Hot Springs City Council, I wear a couple of other hats. I have the honor of being the chair of the Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy and the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission and the Visit Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau. So I have lots of hats to wear on this one, but let's talk a little bit about outdoor recreation. Outdoor recreation and conservation are very much a passion of mine, just like they are with the Congressman and everybody else here. Our mayor often jokes that he rarely sees me without wearing hiking boots, which, of course, I'm wearing now. The Chuckwalla National Monument is very important for the long-term health of our Coachella Valley and of the desert. Outdoor tourism and recreation are rapidly becoming the #1 driving force for tourism here in the valley. In fact, Visit Greater Palm Springs did a survey a couple of years ago, and we surveyed people that had never been to the desert, and what did they want to do when they got here? They wanted to go hiking. They wanted to visit Joshua Tree. They wanted to go to hot springs. They didn't want to golf, you know, and that's a generational thing. Our younger generation wants to come out and make an impact and enjoy the outdoors. That's the #1 driving force for people coming to the desert in the future years. And all those current and future visitors need public lands to recreate on. And once Chuckwalla National Monument becomes a reality, the Coachella Valley, think about this, the Coachella Valley will be the only place in the United States that is completely, a major metropolitan area, completely ringed by conservation land. It'll be ringed by Chuckwalla. It'll be ringed by San Jacinto, Santa Rosa. It'll be ringed by sand to snow, and it'll bring by Joshua Tree, completely surrounded. No other place in the United States will be as surrounded by national parks and national monuments as the Coachella Valley will. And this is coming from a kid who grew up in Utah with the Mighty Five. This will be even better than that. Can you imagine that? So, think of the economic opportunities, too, that will come to the people seeking both to recreate here in our gorgeous desert and what it will mean to the communities surrounding there, the jobs that will come, the educational opportunities that others have spoke of here, to learn about the history of our native people that have been here for centuries, about the miners who dug for gold and iron ore, the old railroad that ran across much of Chuckwalla to haul that ore to market, and to our wonderful World War II generation who trained for desert warfare out here in the desert. And those sites are still out there, and they need to be protected for future generations to learn from. And one last thing, it's going to benefit Joshua Tree National Park, not only in addition to the acreage that'll be added to it, but we're running 4 million people a year through Joshua Tree. And it really just can't sustain that for the long term. It's not going to be able to handle it. Already we see parks crowded, so crowded with visitors like Zion and Arches in Utah that you either have to take a bus in or you have to have a time-stamped entry. And people who live here and travel here and were born here, they're losing out on their birthright to use their public lands because they're being so overused. So the solution to that is to create more public lands for people to go out and enjoy. So once we get Chuckwalla created, looking over here at the congressman, we've got to have infrastructure. We've got to have campgrounds. We've got to have trails. We've got to have educational signage. We've got to have the ways to protect these sacred tribal resources so that people don't trample on them. But we've got to have the infrastructure there. And I know he'll lead us on that as we get that national monument created. So I can't wait to see how this develops down the road. This is going to be absolutely amazing. So thank you. And I want to turn it over now to Ryan Reyes, who is our youth ambassador.
My name is Ryan Reyes, and I'm a Chuckwalla Youth Ambassador with the Consejo de Federaciones Mexicanas, also known as COFEM. I'm excited to be here with Congressman Dr. Ruiz and the rest of the Protect California Desert Coalition to share with you all why the Chuckwalla National Monument is so important to me and other youth in our community. First, I want to thank Congressman Dr. Ruiz for being a champion of this national monument effort and an inspiration for young people in the Coachella Valley to pursue careers in science, technology, math, and engineering. Designating this land for the Chuckwalla National Monument is important to me because, as a person born and raised in the Coachella Valley, I have grown up enjoying the beautiful nature this monument would protect, and I believe future generations deserve to enjoy this land as well. As we all know, health is wealth, and having access to natural areas will provide communities like mine open space to hike, recreate, and enjoy the historical sites of the region. Today, in partnership with Congressman Dr. Ruiz, we are calling on President Biden to use his authority under the Antiquities Act to designate nearly 700,000 acres of public lands as a national monument. Creating the Chuckwalla National Monument will provide access to nature that is accessible to the eastern Coachella Valley and will also ensure protection of the biodiversity in the region. This designation would also support the Biden administration and California's commitment to protect 30% of our public lands and waters by 2030, as well as its objective of expanding access to nature and conservation of plant and wildlife biodiversity. President Biden has the opportunity to invest in the resiliency and future of my community, California, and the environment by designating the Chuckwalla National Monument. I'm proud to be here with amazing local advocates in making this request, as it has the potential to show the country and the world that conservation, renewable energy development, and equitable access to nature can be achieved through collaboration and partnership with local communities, businesses, and decision makers. Again, thank you, Congressman Dr. Ruiz, for supporting youth and the community with our efforts to create a new national monument. Please welcome Congressman Dr. Ruiz.
I just want to review real quick and thank everybody for being here and for showing your strong support. So we talked about the people, we talked about the purpose, now I'll talk about more the process. So first, the purpose, we know, conserve our land, protect the animals, the plants, the cultural heritage sites, clean the air, provide recreation, improve our health, have economic development. It's a win-win-win-win all the way around. The people, tribal, community, leadership, moving it forward for the benefit of themselves, their family, their future generation, up to the 7th generation and beyond, to make sure that this area is protected and we can create core memories with our families. Okay? Now the process. And we do have an all-star team working very closely with Governor Newsom and Secretary Crowfoot, working very closely with all the chairs and chair people of the tribal nations, working very closely with all the different conservation organizations here, working very closely with all the elected officials that are here from different cities and counties and water districts and you name it. It's all represented here, working closely with the youth, with Audubon, with the promotoras, with all the folks that are here, an all-star team that's going to get this done. Now, the process. The process, as you've heard, there's two possibilities. One is that you get an act of Congress to designate this through legislation. The other is the president to do an executive order under the Antiquities Act. Now, if you go ask the president's going to say, well, where's Ruiz on this? The president's going to say, well, where's the local congressman? What's his or her take, right? And that's the experience that we've had, is that in order to launch the Antiquities Act, we need to very clearly state where I'm at. And this bill is a bold statement of where I am with the community, and I stand with the community to make sure that we get this national monument designated. So that's the key part there. And so with this bill, we are putting our stamp with the community, it's your bill, in order to let the president know. Then with U.S. Senators Padilla and Feinstein, there will be a letter with others to really put the request in to get this kick-started with the administration. And then there will be calls from all of us. Then there will be visits from all of us. Then there's going to be the Coachella hustle from all of us. Now, what's the Coachella hustle? I'll tell you the story real quick because it's one of my favorites. But the Coachella hustle is this. One day, it was Halloween. I went home to visit my mother. I was a medical student at the time. And I was out there passing out, healthy stuff because my mother gave little tangerines and stuff like that instead of candy. And there I was in the body of Coachella, and there was a kid knocked on the door and said, "Hey, Congressman," he said, "Hey, trick or treat." Gave him a treat. "Hey, can I have another?" All right, gave him another one. "Hey, can I have one for my brother?" "Yeah." "Can I have one for my sister?" "Yeah." "Can I have one for my cousin?" "Yeah." We have large families. And then he finally said, "Hey, can I have one for my nana, my grandmother?" I said, "Get out of here. Your grandmother probably has diabetes. Come on, get out of here." So the kid, after taking a lot of our tangerines and a few treats here and there, he walks off. Well, the next day I'm helping my mother take down her decorations, and then all of a sudden the doorbell rings, and I open the door, and it's the kid holding up a bag of candies and other treats saying, "Hey, mister, you want to buy a candy?" That's the Coachella hustle. You see, because in Coachella and many of our communities, opportunities don't exist. And if they don't exist, you have to be innovative, creative, with courage and bold to create the opportunities for yourself and your community. And that's what you are doing here. is creating the opportunities for our community, for the land, for tribes together to make it happen. And so we're going to make this happen. So with that, Chairman Tortes.
So before we partake in the bird singing and the food, I would like to do a blessing. So we'll go ahead and stand for the blessing. Creator, Father, Amna, Chem Amna, Chem Mingam, Emam, Tehva, Ipa Iva, Chem Amna, Chem Mingam, Eman, Tehva, Ipa Iva. Father, thank you for leading us down this journey. Thank you for everyone who's come here today and participated. We know that we all have crossroads that we approach, and when we ask the ancestors, they tell us which way to go in a good way. So we thank you that we've all come here in a good way. And we thank you for the blessings we're about to partake in. We thank you for the families here. We ask, Creator, that you bless everyone and safe travels on the way home. Creator, Father, Achama, Alawa. Thank you. So with that, I want to also remind everyone that we want to thank, the Chemehuevi tribe. Again, I know it was said that Chairman Mike, he's not here today, but, we want to thank him for everything that he's done. He's done more than what you see here today. The Chemehuevi tribe, was one with the Kuya tribe here. For those of you who don't know, the Kuya tribe was a nation in this valley, thousands and thousands strong. And in 1860, when the smallpox came and decimated us and caused us to migrate and travel, and it's said in our bird songs about our migration and the life lessons and, about the animals and how they guided us and how the Creator guided us. And that's what they're going to sing about, some of the stories today. Some of them are sacred because they're ceremonial, and they're about the rituals that we have when we have our ancestors going to the journey into the afterlife. So, again, thanking Chairman Mike, the Chemehuevi people. This wouldn't happen, without our Torres Martinez Cultural Committee. They're here to help make these decisions and guidance, from the Creator in this direction with the congressman. I also want to mention, from Onopo, Bene Kalak has been instrumental in helping us get here also. And she was with me at Sacramento when we, invoked the governor. He passed a law saying that Fourth Friday is going to be Native American Heritage Day. So those are accomplishments that, we can all attribute to everyone gathering and being supportive here today. So I know we have with us today the Torres Martinez bird singer. We have the Parker bird singers, the Mojave bird singers, and they're going to sing about, like I said, everyone has creation stories and life lessons and stories about how we migrated and how we moved about, because we all know that all tribes are one with the environment, and we will always be one with the environment. So, and it is told, by our ancestors that we will always be here. We will always be here. So with that, our saying in Kuya, we say, Pen to Wyonamish, Chemqualenum. Pen to Wyonamish, Chemqualenum. That means we will always be here. So I just want to part and thank everyone be here by saying that, Pen to Wyonamish, Chemqualenum. We will always be here. Thank you. And then with that, I'm going to like to introduce the Torres Martinez bird singers, the Parker bird singers, Mojave bird singers, anyone who's going to come up and partake in the bird singing ceremony. Thank you.
Again.